the biggest question of my life is, who is the God that I trust? Who is the God that I believe in? Who is the God who speaks to me? What's his track record like?
Yeah.
Does he keep his word?
Yeah.
So for me, it's not just the word spoken, it's who said it to me.
Yeah.
And so I've got to look at the integrity and the trustworthiness of the one who's spoken to me.
Okay, welcome back to session 3. Session 3, but part 2 as we draw that circle of life. We've started by talking about hearing, how important it is to hear from God. That's how faith comes to us. And in this session, we're going to talk about what do we do with that. So Roger's back to help us with this, because this next part of the circle is believing. So if it's okay, Roger, I'm going to start by reading Genesis 15 because it touches where we finished last session.
Sure.
Genesis 15, I'll read from verse 5. I think you even quoted this actually. Then the Lord took Abram outside and said to him, "Look up into the sky, count the stars if you can. That's how many descendants you will have." And Abraham believed the Lord, and the Lord counted him as righteous because of his faith. It's that, if you could condense the verse in one sense, it's that God said and Abraham believed. There's something that we have to do, isn't there? It's that believing faith.
We sometimes use this little adage of faith. God said it.
Yeah.
I believe it. That settles it.
Yeah.
Now, that can sound very trite, but it is really true.
Yeah.
And that's what you find with Abraham. God said it.
Yeah.
I hear it. I believe it. And therefore that settles it, no matter what mitigates against that.
Yeah.
And that's really the settles it bit, because everything will come to say, really?
Yeah.
Really?
There's that other voice.
Really?
Yeah.
God said it.
Yes.
I believe. And that settles it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've talked about then Abraham having this faith. Now, Abraham gets mentioned in the New Testament, in Hebrews 11, perhaps you might call it the Hall of Heroes or the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But we've already said in this series so far that this is not for great and mighty heroes, or perhaps we all are great and mighty heroes.
Yeah.
This is for every day. This is for ordinary. This is natural, isn't it? We've already said that this is this process, that little mantra that you've given us. That's for everyone, isn't it? It's not just for Abraham in history in that sense.
Because I read Abraham differently now. Because sometimes we read about the great people of the Bible like Abraham or Rahab or Esther or Elijah, and we kind of think, whoa, these people.
Yeah.
Or John the Baptist. And then Jesus said, well, the least in the kingdom is greater than John the Baptist.
Right. Yeah.
And what I love about the Bible is it shows the characters in their true light. And so you see the story of Abraham and Romans 4, where Paul talks about him saying, without weakening in his faith, he was strengthened in his faith.
Yeah.
Against all hope he believed, and you think, wow, what a guy.
Yeah.
And you think, yeah, he was. But when you read Genesis, the story, you realize the New Testament is very kind to him. Because even though he has heard God and he believes him, he makes a lot of mistakes.
Right.
He lies.
Yeah.
He abdicates responsibility.
Yeah.
He tries to help God out over this period of 24 years. And he gets himself in a mess.
Yeah.
He breaks the circle.
Right. Yeah.
Doesn't he?
Yep.
But the great thing is, God says, no, I have said it. You believe it. And no matter, if you break the circle, God doesn't say, well, you've got to start again, or you're out. He just says, just join the circle again.
Yeah.
Pick it up where you left it. Yeah. And that's what Abraham does.
Yeah.
He picks it up. And that's what we do. Yeah. We're learning this. So am I an expert at the circle of life? No way. Do I make mistakes? Yes. Do I break the circle? Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm learning that if I keep these habits and work on them, it works.
Yeah. We were saved by grace, weren't we?
We're saved by grace.
That continues. I mean, this is what we were just talking about, how we start.
Yes.
Continues. So we don't have to get faith. We already have it because we've already believed. You call this chapter in your book "Believing Believers."
Believing believers, and that sounds a strange thing, because in the New Testament, they didn't call themselves Christians for a long time. They called themselves believers, people of faith. They had a belief.
Yeah.
They were people of faith, because in the New Testament, faith, belief, and trust are often the same word.
Yeah.
They call themselves other things as well, but they were believers. So you wouldn't find a New Testament Christian saying, I don't have faith, because they were known as believers. They believed these facts. They believed in this person who they'd never seen.
Yes.
And I know we've mentioned it before, but for us to say as Christians, I don't have faith, we can't say that.
Yeah.
Because we have the gift of faith, and Romans 10 tells us that if we believe in our hearts, if we have faith in our hearts that God raised Jesus from the dead, and then as we speak, if we confess, as we'll see, Jesus is Lord, that's when we're saved.
Yeah.
So we have this two-pronged thing. We have faith and we speak.
Yeah.
That's how we get saved. But that's how we live.
Yeah.
So for us, we call him believing believers. We may have a faith that needs to grow, but we've got it.
Yeah. It's not something that we've got to keep.
No. We are believers.
Yeah.
And I think we already said this. We believe that a man died on a cross 2,000 years ago. Hundreds of people died that day.
Yeah.
This man died. He was buried. We believe that he was raised again from the dead.
Yeah.
When we believe that he ascended into heaven, we believe he's the Son of God, and we believe he saved us from our sins.
Yeah.
We believe that.
Yeah. It's a big place to start.
It's a big place to start. It doesn't get much bigger than that.
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah.
You're thinking, well, I'm not really a believer. What? You believe that?
Yeah.
Well, yes. And when you realize that, you think, oh, I am a believing believer.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, I can believe for a job. I can believe for my
Exactly.
family. Because if I've heard from God, then
Yes.
I can trust Him for anything. If He's done that for me,
It's the same faith.
yeah, it's fantastic. So you've just mentioned this now. We in the best way we can't say. Let's not say anymore. Let's put it aside and say that I don't have faith, because we are believers. It's part of our identity now. It's who we are. Yes. So we have faith. God's given us faith. Let's not say that we don't. But you've just said that we can grow in faith.
Yes.
Could you help us a little bit with that?
Yeah. What I find is that, in my experience, it's when I hear God say it,
Right.
I have a choice to make then to say, I do believe that.
Yeah.
So if I'm reading what the scripture says about me, that I am no longer a sinner, but I am a saint. I'm a righteous son of God.
Yeah.
That's what God speaks to me.
Yeah.
Now, I have a choice then. I can say, well, I don't feel like that.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, but I still think I'm a sinner.
Yeah.
I got a choice. Say, no, I have got to believe that.
Yeah.
Because that's what God said. So that throws me then onto not just the word that's been spoken to me,
Okay.
or what the Spirit says. I have to come now to the integrity of the speaker.
Right.
So the most important things that we have, and I think you have a quote from A.W. Tozer on this, that the biggest question of my life is, who is the God that I trust? Who is the God that I believe in? Who is the God who speaks to me? What's his track record like?
Yeah.
Does he keep his word?
Yeah.
So for me, it's not just the word spoken, it's who said it to me.
Yeah.
And so I've got to look at the integrity and the trustworthiness of the one who's spoken to me. Yeah. It works the other way with the enemy.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to lie to me anyway, aren't you?
It's his native language.
That's why you're going to do me harm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but for God, because we want to cut the positive, I have to say, can I take him at his word then?
Yeah.
When he says he guarantees me heaven. Or do I still worry about death?
Yeah.
If he says, I will heal you, or you will have that job, or he will look after my family, he will put bread on my table.
Yeah.
If I bring in my tithe, he will bless me.
Yeah.
Can I trust him?
Yeah.
Do I trust him?
That's really good. And that's what it means to be a believing believer.
That's what it
Not
means
a
to
pocket full of
be. Yes.
promises, but a heart full of him.
Yes. And that's why, that's another video series. It's who is the God I serve? What's he like?
Yeah.
Because the Bible is a book about him.
Yes.
It's not just a remedy for getting through life.
Yeah.
It's his autobiography, if you like.
Yeah.
He says, you want to know what I'm like? This is what I'm like.
Yeah.
And of course then he says, but it's also about you.
Yeah. Yeah, which you talk about in this chapter.
Which was a strange thing for me to come to realize over the years, that thinking, me? So when I read, John 3:16, for God loved the world so much that he gave his only son, that whoever, but he says, well, that's you.
Yeah.
You're a whoever.
Yeah.
I thought, what? He said, Roger, it's you.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you. And so when Jesus says, whoever, in John 14, he says, whoever has faith in me,
Yeah.
will do the works I've been doing.
Yeah.
Well, I used to think, well, that ain't me, because I haven't got faith. So Jesus says, let's take that one away.
Yeah.
Okay. He says, whoever. Well, I'm not a pastor or anything. He says, I didn't say that. I said, whoever has faith in me will do the works I've been doing. I said, oh, okay. Then I think, well, I haven't raised the dead, so I'm disqualified. He said, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
He said, you'll do the works I've been doing.
Yeah.
And greater works. Well, how can I do anything greater than Jesus? He says, didn't say that, he said. I said, well, greater works than these. Because I'm going to be living in you all. We're going global. We're going to be working on a global scale now.
Yeah.
So over a process, I had to realize, Jesus said this to me. Mm-hmm. I've got to believe him. And that really helped me after getting baptized in the Holy Spirit, which really was a big revolution in my life, to say, well, I can put my hands on sick people and they'll get well.
Yeah.
But in other things, Dave, the process has been, God said it, I believe that settles it, thinking, it's that patiently waiting when things don't seem to be happening.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's the big thing. Well, the Lord told me we would have a child, or he told us this, but it doesn't seem to have happened yet.
Yeah.
And it's 5 years now, it's 10 years now.
Yeah.
And God said, and sometimes you don't get an answer. But God said, what did I tell you?
Yeah.
There are things I'm waiting for now that the Lord spoke to me many years ago. And I said, but I'm still waiting. And there are times when I said, it's on video, so I will confess this. Is it still valid?
Yeah.
I've done that. Lord, did you really mean it? And he said, what did I tell you?
Yeah.
That's been the journey for me,
Yeah.
to be honest, to say, you did tell me that.
Yeah.
I did tell you. Yeah.
And we're going to talk a bit about, I think, later on.
Yeah.
Quality of faith.
Because we have to be honest in that.
Yeah. Right.
There is that waiting.
Yeah.
It's not always like that.
Yeah. I mean, Abraham waited a long
A
time.
long time. And you think, why? I mean, God could have done it with the first thing we find out about Sarah, when they're married, she's the only one. She can't have children. You think, well, God could have done that when she was 25.
Yeah.
Why does he wait until the guy's 90 or 99 and she's 90 years old? Why? I don't know.
Yeah.
But he promised them.
Yeah.
And they were real people facing real things.
This is it.
Real pressure.
Yeah.
We don't have a kid. And we've settled the fact we will never have kids.
Yeah.
And then God said, oh, yes, you will.
Yeah.
Why did you tell us that? You just put a whole big thing into our life. We got to believe you for. He says, yeah. Because it's bigger than you think.
Yeah. And I think this is where we're going to kind of end up going. But what we believe, I say this, not only shapes our own destiny, but the destiny. I mean, we're sat here now because effectively a man and a woman believed God.
That's amazing.
That Abraham and Sarah believed God.
Yeah.
And God was true to his word.
Yeah.
Because we are now
That's right.
the children of Abraham if we have faith.
That's right. And if there's no Isaac, there's no Jesus.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll see that when we talk about Rahab,
Yeah.
about doing and obeying God.
Yeah.
What a woman she was.
Yeah. Yeah, believing what we believe not
Yeah.
only shapes our own destiny, and it can be, we can lock ourselves down to that, particularly in an individualistic
Yes,
culture.
absolutely.
And it is important what our destinies are in God, but when you think of it in those terms, suddenly, you think, wow, my what I believe is so important.
Yes.
Because it's so much bigger, like you said, than you
Yeah.
think.
When I became a Christian, I couldn't see beyond my own nose. I'm saved from my sin. I'm going to heaven.
Yeah.
I had no clue what I was getting into.
Yeah.
Beyond that, and realizing that for whatever purpose, my life is bigger in God's hands than I ever realized, and the impact it has on other people.
That's it.
But you don't think of that. Faith is beyond me.
Yeah,
It impacts everything.
that's it. And that's not a pressure thing, is it?
No, it's not.
It's not. It's just, we just believe God.
Yeah.
And in his goodness and his grace, even when they make mistakes. And that's the encouragement of the scriptures, to read it and to go, God, this is about you, but you're also, these people are talking about me.
Yes.
I make these mistakes. I fall down in this way. And yet, if you stuck by them, and we're here thousands of years later, still walking in the same way.
That's right.
Receiving promises that Abraham looked forward to, but never got to receive.
Yes.
That's Hebrews 11, isn't it? But
Yes.
we're still a part of that great, great journey.
Yes. And it's like David said, he spoke of the resurrection of Jesus 1,000 years before, and you're kind of thinking, what did he say? What?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think he knew that his faith in God extended beyond his own life and his own generation.
Yeah.
And in some way, I look at my life, and I'm a third or fourth generation believer, but I look back at my mother's family, my grandmother, her parents and everything, and you think, I was just, I never thought, I was just this kid growing up in Cardiff, ordinary kid, never realized that God had a plan for me. And even, it's a funny thing, writing books and speaking and doing these things, and I'm blessed that people find what I've written, which is not original to me, has affected them.
Yeah.
And I think, I never saw that when I put my faith in Jesus.
Yeah.
It really is mind-blowing when we consider. I think if you just believe him,
Yeah.
I can't remember who said it. I think the quote said, one man in the hands of God can change the world.
Wow. Yeah.
And they do.
And maybe that's a good place for us to
Let's stop.
let's stop there. What we believe not only shapes our own destiny, but one man in the hands of God can determine and change the whole world. We'll leave you with that thought. So we've drawn our first two parts of the circle. But once again, there's something we've got to do, even with our believing. How does that impact our life? What do we do with what we've believed? So that's where we're going to head to next, in our next two sessions, where we're going to talk about confession and speaking. So we're looking forward to you joining us then in session 4.